Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Stronger, Deeper Marriage Show, where we help married couples and those thinking about marriage build relationships filled with peace, purpose, and passion. I'm your host, Lucille Reddic, the Harmony Expert, married for 41 years. My heart is for helping couples communicate, heal, and grow together through every season. I'm joined by my amazing co host and wellness coach, Pata Hall, who's been married for 38 years and brings powerful insight on emotional, physical, and spiritual health in marriage. Together, our focus is simple: helping couples build marriages that last. Pata.
Hello, everyone. Today we are talking about perspective, and perspective is deeply connected to your health. When couples stay stuck in stress, negativity, or fear, it impacts their nervous systems and their connection. But when you intentionally shift your mindset, your body responds differently, and your relationship can too. Hope isn't just emotional, it's physiological.
Come on, don't let it beat you. Don't let it beat you.
And we're going to unpack that today.
Well, fantastic.
See those big
Oh,
words at 8 a.m., girl?
well, look here. We are real and in real time today. So if we can't say it, we just can't say it.
Physiological.
But glad to thank you, Patty, for that. Today we're joined by Leonard Webb. He's a guy I met several years ago, and I'm so impressed by what he's doing in the world today. So, what Leonard does is he supports students in discovering their strengths and future pathways. Leonard has been married for 3 years to his wife, Laura, a school counselor, and their love story began when Leonard was doing a career day presentation at her school. So, you can find love anywhere. Leonard also brings powerful insight about navigating transitions. I was trying to beat me too, Patty. Mind shifts and reconnecting emotionally. He's the author of Dear Young People, a passionate student success speaker. Leonard, welcome to the Stronger, Deeper Marriage Show.
Welcome.
Woo!
And thank you. Thanks for having me. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy
Yes, happy
Valentine's Day,
Valentine's
everybody.
Day.
Yeah.
I hope you got something special planned for you and Laura later on today.
Not really.
Not really?
Every day is Valentine's Day with
Yep.
us. So,
That's what my
Oh,
husband just told me. That's what he just told me. What today? What? You do this every day. You hug me every day. Okay.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
okay. I love that. Every day should be Valentine's Day. Well, now, Leonard, is there anything that I didn't include in your intro that you would like to tell the people? I always like to let people, if they want to introduce something or I didn't say something, they can put that here.
It was pretty complete. I like what Pata had said, the love story. And it's not, me and Laura aren't really a love story. We had known each other for probably over 10 years
Okay.
before,
Mm-hmm.
we really got close.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, the love story is every day. People hear love stories, and Pat had talked about perspective, and they believe in like a happily ever after, and that's really not the case.
It's
And
not.
when no,
That's what.
the
That's what I
happily
wanted.
ever after makes it sound like it's complete when it's a
Mm,
process.
yeah.
Like you meet,
Mhm.
you get together, you have some hard time, then happily ever after, but then it forgets about the hurdles you have to jump along the
Yeah.
way. And I'm sure you've jumped
Right.
many hurdles in 40 years, over 30 years.
Track
Mm-hmm.
So
star. I'm saying.
it's the process that's the happily ever after. It's enjoying every day with each other, finding the smiles, finding the laughter, even in some hard times. So that's really the love story.
I love that. I love that.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
how did meeting Laura, which you said you already kind of knew her, but since you mentioned it that you met her during a career day, um, how did that turn into a love story? Did just kind of give us some background. You said you've known her 10
Sure, sure.
years. Mm-hmm.
Um, well, I had done many career days at her school, like over the course of 10 years.
Mhm.
And I was at a point where I was a public success but a private failure, and people didn't
Mm.
know that because I was just carrying the weight.
Mhm.
And what was really, I think the Bible says something like a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways.
All his
Mhm.
ways.
And,
Mhm.
and like I said, I was a public success but a private failure. And it came to a point that I had to take the mask off and really look at myself in the mirror.
Mhm.
It, and she was a part of that process once uh, I I started getting into it. Like I like to look at it as the F's of life: faith, finance, fun, fitness, and family.
Like
Mm.
that.
And those five S, I was failing at all of them,
Wow.
Oh.
except physical fitness. My physical fitness was great, but
Mhm.
mentally, I had suicidal ideations. I thought I was a failure.
Mm.
My
Mhm.
life that wasn't meeting my expectations, and we assume we have time, and that's not the case.
Mhm.
And when I realized that in my mind, I didn't want any more time, I had to really get back and connect with God. I was at a point in my life where the Bible says, "Be fruitful and multiply, and you'll know them by their fruit," which is their character.
Mhm.
Um, I wanted to multiply first, and when you don't become fruitful first, you multiply whatever's there, and whatever was in me at that time wasn't good, and that's what was
Mhm.
multiplying. So I
Oh, I
had to
like.
get straight
Mm.
first.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Wow. That's deep. I love that.
I
Yeah.
love that. Um, so when you say that you were multiplying kind of backwards, if I understand you correctly, that you weren't being fruitful first, can you
I
unpack that
was
a little
hustling.
bit for us?
Yep, I was
Mhm.
hustling backwards. I was. It's tough to describe because you look like you're successful,
Mhm.
Mhm.
but inside you're dying.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay.
and like the F's that I told you about,
Mhm.
everything about me was dying because the soil wasn't good.
Okay.
Um, I've been married two other times, and
Mhm.
oh, those times I wanted a wife. In law enforcement, it's a very hyper masculine job,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and people get married because you look stable. And I saw married people getting promotions, and
Mm.
like I said, law enforcement's hyper masculine. So if you're not married, they're questioning your sexuality. So, but if you are married, then they don't have to question that anymore.
Wow.
Um, and
Mm.
it would seem like when you're single, people question whether you're likable. But when you're married, they know at least one person likes you. So
You can get
so
along with at least one person.
yeah, so it
Wow.
might be okay in some areas. So I never looked at it as wanting to be a husband. I wanted to have a wife,
Okay. Because
and
of
Mm.
that
what
was
you thought
the
that represented.
yes,
Yeah.
and Laura helped me through that where I wanted to be a husband, where I wanted to be vulnerable, but I had to move within myself if we were to have a future, and God can't steer a parked car. So
You
God
sure
God
can.
God only blesses motion. So I had to make some motions and make some connections with him because,
Mhm.
I was trying to order my steps. I was trying to let man order my steps. And I never knew who my opposition was because I was
Mm.
multiplying the negativity, which meant I was multiplying negative people around me.
Wow.
So
Mm.
I had to get back and let my steps be ordered by God. And then I was able to see my opposition. And that opposition was confirmation I was going in the right direction.
Mm.
Oh, I love that. So let me
Yeah.
ask you this. So now, did you come to this understanding of where you stood emotionally and spiritually prior to you meeting Laura, or did Laura have a direct impact on supporting your growth in this area?
She had a direct impact. It
Mm.
was. At first, I didn't know what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I wasn't thinking the next day.
Mhm.
But when we really grew our friendship, which where it all starts,
Mhm.
is that it helped me realize that God was preparing me for Laura. He wasn't punishing me.
Okay.
So I was looking at it as punishment, and that takes a emotional toll when you don't have faith, when
Mm.
you don't believe in God's work and what God had brought you to this earth to do. When you, that's a hard emotional state, and it affects everything. And
Mhm.
it was only a matter of time before I ultimately broke, and Laura came at a time where I could rebuild myself.
Oh, I love that. I love
Wow.
that.
Yes.
So I'm
Yeah.
glad that the Lord sent Laura at a time that you needed. Isn't he just like that? He always sends us somebody that we need at just at the right time. I think about when I was going through some hard times in my marriage, the Lord sent some amazing women to talk me off the ledge.
Yeah, we all have at least that one person. And what I'm understanding what you're saying, Leonard, is that your soil, you needed that foundation so you could grow in a positive direction. And you weren't deeply rooted in the word of God, and you were just kind of motionless in a sense.
Yeah,
So
I totally didn't invite God into my life.
wow.
I was doing things that I knew I shouldn't have been doing. I knew that's wasn't the path that God
Hmm.
was directing me in, but it was
Hmm.
all private. Like I said, I was
Hmm.
publicly successful, getting awards at work and
Wow.
leading things and going into schools and being successful on the outside, but on the inside I was dying because I never prioritized me. I didn't think I was
Mm.
worthy enough. I was waiting for the world to affirm me
Okay.
and not God to affirm me. I was waiting for the world to tell me what my superpower is and not knowing that God already gave me a
Favorite
superpower.
superpower.
You know,
Yes,
God
yes.
God knows us before we're born.
Hmm.
Yes.
And I didn't realize how much weight I was carrying
Hmm.
until I started talking to God. And then I could realize the weight I was carrying. Um, because men, on the one side, we're taught if we talk about it, we're weak.
Wait, don't show
Yeah,
any
we
emotion.
have to show we can keep it together. But when you're silent, especially in your relationship with God, silence
Mhm.
creates distance, and that's what
Mhm.
happens in marriages. Um,
Mhm.
Hmm.
is is Laura really taught me how to communicate, and there's not silence.
Hmm.
There's a place. If I can't be vulnerable with my significant other in a relationship, where can I be vulnerable? Especially as a man, especially as a black man, where can
Mhm.
I be vulnerable?
Hmm.
Exactly. Mhm.
Exactly. I love that.
Mhm.
So you
Mhm.
mentioned that you wanted a wife, but you didn't necessarily want to be a husband. So I take it now you've embraced the role of being a husband. What does that mean to you being a husband?
It means I demand of myself first,
Mhm.
and I can't put demands on other people if I'm not putting demands on myself. And I have to demand myself to be better, to do better every day. If the
Mhm.
love story is going to be every day, then I have to do things. Wanting to be a husband is developing routines and habits, and it's really simple. We make things harder than they should be, but it's just a text message, a kiss when I leave, a text message when I get to where I'm going, uh,
Mhm.
handshakes and different kind of inside jokes that we
Mhm.
sometimes forget about. But
Mhm.
those are the things that remind us where we started, where the love began, and that's what keeps it going. Is those little habits, like I said, Valentine's Day is every day. I don't need a day to give you flowers. I don't need a specific day to tell you I love you. I don't need a specific day to show you that I appreciate you.
Oh, I
So it's
love that.
those little things that keep that connection,
Yeah,
keep it going. Those little things.
Hmm. Yeah, we have to water the soil. If you don't water it, it's gonna die. And so those little bitty things, it's big things too, but those little things really just
Make a
uh,
difference.
make a big difference that people sometimes don't think of. So you mentioned briefly something about you of working in law enforcement. Law enforcement. and you made a transition. So, how did that season impact your marriage?
Uh, we were still in a relationship when I transitioned. We weren't married yet,
Okay.
and it made me appreciate the work that she did. I think sometimes we expect a whole lot of our school teachers, of the people that work in schools, of principals, and we really don't know what they have to go through. We really
Mhm.
don't know that you pour your heart into a child that's
Mm,
struggling, and you see the potential, but they don't. That bears a hard burden every day.
Mhm.
Um, I think prison and school are kind of work in parallel universes. There's a lot of things similar that shouldn't be in the school system, but prison is a little harder. Um, you can be a little harder emotionally because it's adults. That's acceptable. But again, what I found in both areas, the more vulnerable you are, the more transparent you are, the more helpful you are to those that you serve. If I
Mhm.
wasn't vulnerable and transparent with the men that I served that were incarcerated, I wouldn't have got the outcomes that I did because in prison as in schools, in law enforcement as in schools, there's a lack of representation of black men. And it just kind of hit me one day when I don't see any representation, then I'm the representation. And
Mhm.
the men that I serve have to see me in a certain way because they have to believe that it's possible. The students I support have to see me in a certain way so they can believe certain things are possible. I'm an author, and a lot of kids are amazed that I'm talking to an author, but
mhm.
I try and tell them you can be an author,
Mhm.
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
representation, you can see it in their eyes that you know what, if he did it, I can do it.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Yes, yes, I love that.
Mhm.
So you talk about being vulnerable as an officer. Um, how did pack that for me? Because it, in my mind, I guess what I'm seeing on what I would have in my mind, what I see on TV is that you would have to be kind of hard in order to deal with. And I don't know.
Everything.
Were you working
Yeah.
with juveniles or working with adults?
Adults in the
Adults.
federal system, from a guy that may have stole cigarettes off an army base, which is a federal crime because it's an army base, to human
Mhm.
trafficking, murderers, uh, dudes that did some really hard stuff. But I always remember they weren't always that. They were once a child, and
Mhm.
they're still
Mm,
human. And
Mhm.
you get a lot of pushback when you're vulnerable and transparent with prisoners.
mhm,
But how are we supposed to rehabilitate? How are we supposed
Mhm.
to help them but support them become better people if
Mhm.
they
mhm.
don't see better people?
Mhm.
And not to
Oh,
get
yeah.
political, but like what we're seeing today is how am I supposed to trust a police officer as a black man?
Exactly. Mhm.
Mhm,
Uh, so for me, it went beyond the job. It was a bigger service, and whatever flack I received, I'd give guys fist bumps and I call them Mister and Sir, because I wanted them to feel like a person.
Respect
And
it. Yeah.
and the pushback was their inmate, their number, da 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 da. Nah, nah. At the end of the day, they're one of God's children, and that's why I'm here. I'm imagining
okay.
God put me here is to serve and to serve in a certain way. And I didn't always have that voice, but once I got it, it was just such a powerful thing. Like people would stop even challenging me because the results I was having
Mhm.
spoke for themselves, spoke for itself.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, just recognizing people's humanity that they had made a mistake, and but they're not.
Treating them with respect. Yeah.
Yeah, treating them with respect, but they're
Well,
not. I
and
guess
we
a
have to
throw.
have
They're not a
boundaries.
throwaway. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
we have to have boundaries, but I think people put up walls when it doesn't need to be a wall there. Sometimes it
Mhm.
just needs to be a picket fence. Sometimes it's just, you know, one on one. I can be totally transparent. Uh, but you set boundaries with people, and people want to have one boundary. And just like everything else in life, things evolve, and you learn to trust. And how are they going to learn to trust if they don't see trust? I tell kids all the time, speak what you seek. And what I was seeking is, when guys released from prison, that they were a better husband, a better father, a better person. And they couldn't get that if they didn't see a better person. And I want them to speak in a way, because language is so important. The words that we use are so important. I
Yes.
didn't want them to see themselves as inmate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I wanted them to see themselves as Leonard Webb, as who they are and who God
Mhm.
meant them to be.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So let me take you back just a little bit. When
Mhm.
you said earlier, right after the intro, that you were an outward success, but it sounded like you were just hollow on the inside, or maybe had this inner exhaustion going on. What helped you stay connected with Laura when that's going on? Is that a difficult thing to navigate?
It's not difficult, and I'll give you like an analogy. A 4G network with a phone, and for me, the 4G means for God, and you
Mm.
have bars, and the first bar, you really can't do much. You try and get on the internet, it stalls, but that first bar is you, and you have to figure out, how do I get connected with God, who's the power cord and the charger, get connected, get to that one bar, me, and then build to a point where I can get to 2 bars. And once I get to 2 bars, the 2 bar is my circle. And if you look at a phone, it should the apps that you have on your phone. Some are useful, some aren't useful, some are good
Mm.
to use, and some are a total waste of time. So when you think
Mhm.
about your circle, you think about what apps are running in the background that's draining my battery that I need to get rid of. Same with people. What apps do I need to offload? What apps do I need to spend more time on when I am on my phone? So that second bar is that circle. The third bar is when you start aligning yourself with another person, and you start learning the values and learning how to communicate. You just get aligned with God in that relationship. You know, he's already connected, but you have to bring him in.
Mhm.
A lot of times we don't want to bring God in until, you know, we're ready to fully commit, but you have to bring God along the way the whole time. You have to stay connected, or else you lose power. And the
Mhm.
fourth bar is just that covenant that is built, not a commitment, because we can break commitments, we can break promises. But when you have a covenant, I can not disconnect from God, but I can move freely knowing that He's always with me when I have those 4 bars. When I have those
Mhm.
4 bars, I have the strongest. I don't have to worry about internet. I don't have to worry about things shutting down. I'm flowing freely. I can listen to music. I can do anything when I have those 4 bars. So when you have that covenant and you have God included, then you have those 4 bars.
Wow.
And for me, I spent a lot of time protecting feelings, not my own, and I had to move and make that, like you said, that shift, that
That got you.
mindset shift. Not me. That mindset shift to from protecting feelings to protecting the truth.
Mm.
And
Mm.
sometimes we hide things about ourselves that we're embarrassed about. But when you like again, when you can be fully vulnerable with somebody, you have that covenant, because it creates a space where there's the ultimate trust.
Mhm.
And really the real foundation for me was, you can kid a kid, you can fool a fool, you can con a con, but you can't lie to yourself.
Cannot
Mhm.
lie to you.
You can't lie to yourself. So
Yeah,
it
I love
sounds
how.
like. Oh, go
Oh,
ahead,
go ahead.
Patty.
I said I just love how you made that distinction between covenant and commitment. Because a lot of times we say we're committed in our relationship, we're committed in our marriage, and that seems to cover everything, but not fully understanding, no. you need to be covered. You need that. That's a cover. You need that. And I really like how you broke that down and explained the difference in the two and the importance of that covenant. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. That may definitely help some people. Because I would say, me and Pat have shared with each other. I was trying to get out of my marriage. The first 7 years, I was just like, this ain't
And I had
this
no
ain't gonna
idea what I
work.
was doing. So
And that's the thing for me. I haven't been married before. It was easy to quit because
Hmm.
it was easy to quit because I didn't have any grounding, any firm foundation for anything. It was really about me. And once I started, faith creates flow, and once you
Hmm.
could get that flow, you can get the overflow. And I never had faith, so I didn't never
yeah.
could get a flow, and it made it easy to quit because I was committed in a way. I was committed financially. I was committed um, to being a father, but I wasn't committed to marriage. I just wasn't there at the time. So the covenant comes when I know God covers me. I know God has ordered my steps, and I know those steps are ordered to have Laura by my side. You know, Adam wasn't Eve didn't come from the head, he didn't come from the feet, he came from the rib to understand the side. And we're side by side in this
Right.
walk.
Yes, I love that. Um,
Yes.
and it sounds like you had this awakening similar to what I had. Once I realized and got my connection with God and realized who I was in Him, it freed me up to be um, more relaxed, more. I could be vulnerable. I could be more expressive. I could really just kind of let my shoulders down, let my hair down, and be uh, fully there and present with my husband. I want to say
Mhm.
before my relationship with God, I was just kind of just, I felt like that hamster on the wheel, just running around, performing, doing
Mhm.
performative stuff, just trying to be, what I thought in my head,
Right.
people needed me to be, what he needed me to be, kids,
Right.
mom, work, all of these things.
Mhm.
But once I realized who I was in Christ, it just really just took the weight off me that I could just be um number one, just thankful to God for who he
Mhm.
created me to be, that I'm not, I don't have to be the best at this, I don't have to be that person, I can just be me, and that's enough. And that helped me to be so vulnerable with my husband and just communicate in a way that just says, I didn't take everything. I guess I did, but to make it plain, I used to take offense to things a lot easily.
Mhm.
And I didn't have any problems now saying, oh, that wasn't what I meant, or that came out the wrong way. Or Pat and I were talking the other day, if it's that time of the month and and my nerves are on edge, and my husband might say, well, did I do something wrong? No, it don't have nothing to do with you. It's just it's just
Leave
that
me
time.
alone. Leave me
It's
alone.
just this hormonal thing I got going on. It don't have nothing to do with you, babe. Just give him a kiss and go on.
But like you
But
guys were saying, like for me early on, I was praying. I'm like, God, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't like this. I don't know. No, no. And I grew up in divorce. My mom has been married 6 times. So getting divorced was like, I'll just get a divorce and marry somebody else. You know? But this
My
right here,
dad
this
was
this
my dad
this
was
is
married 5 times,
see?
and I think we learned that, and I hope better for my kids. But I think
Right.
that's kind of learned that marriage is disposable.
Disposable,
Um,
yes.
that okay, it ain't working out. I can quit. And when you get to a point, do I stay in lack or do I plant a seed? And
There you
I made the
go.
decision to
Yeah,
plant a seed rather than to stay
exactly.
in where I was lacking.
Exactly. And I guess I learned that and I wanted something different from my children. I wanted to show them something different. But I just always prayed to God, like, I don't know how to do this. This man, what? No, get me out of this. And he kept me covered.
yes.
I stayed in faith when I didn't want to. And, like Lucille and I were talking, when you do that and you kind of get to the other side, and I see, my older two kids are married now. They waited and got married a little later, but they have great relationships with their spouses. So, when I look at that, I'm like, okay, I did do something right. And not only when what I was telling them, but what my husband and I was showed them as well. Because a lot of times, your kids go on what they see, as opposed to, you can talk to them all day. But, I've always, I know I hadn't been perfect, but just try to set an example. I know what I didn't want. And I know in a marriage, I didn't know what I wanted because I had never really seen a good marriage. I just worked off of, I know what I don't want. And just work from that. But just staying covered and just being faithful in times where you're like, I don't want to play this game no more. I'm done.
I wanted my happily ever after. Yes.
Like
I,
it's just not easy to make that connection with another human being. You know, you're not going to be happy all the times, but like you say, to keep doing those little things, to watch what comes out
And
of your mouth, how you say it. It's that matters. That really matters.
that really matters. And
and
recognizing the humanity in the person that you're with too.
and for your listeners that are married and struggling or thinking about getting married, the question that I have for them, for them to ask themselves is, will you trust God enough that you will move by faith? See, we don't
Mm-hmm.
trust God enough. Uh, and that's the main problem in relationships. We don't trust God enough to move by faith. We rely on validation. We rely on man to tell us who we should be with, and we have types in our head, and they have to look a certain way, and my parents have to approve of them. You don't need all that. You have to trust God enough that you move by faith, and the person that he sends to me is the person that he sends to me. He's not going to give me a choice. He's not going to, I can't pray for a type. He's going to
Right.
he's going to give you somebody that you can love unconditionally. And I think a lot of young people especially get caught up in types. They get caught up in the love stories, and they don't really understand the whole process of being with another person and including God in that relationship. They want to include God later on, after they go go through their Jezebel phase. They want to, you know, or for men, we want to go through our Saul phase and all that before we become Paul. And women want to go through that Jezebel phase before they become Ruth. But they find a man being Jezebel, we find a woman being Saul, and it doesn't work, and we wonder why. And the why is that we haven't connected with God. We haven't allowed God into a relationship until we want to get married. Say, hey, God, you can come to the wedding if you want to.
You can come to the wedding if you want to.
But
Well,
please RSVP first right now.
and then we want to put him over there to just you stay over here on this little part over here, stay on the side. So give us a practical example if you don't mind, if you can think of one of how you of a time maybe you allowed your faith in God to just carry you through.
When I was going through my second divorce, um, I had to lose everything.
Mm,
And I had to have faith that once everything lost can be regained.
mhm,
And once I had faith in that, then nothing mattered. Well, the rumors, the things that in a divorce, a lot of things get said, and a lot of truths and untruths and half truths are thrown around, and
mhm,
people are made judgments. But once I poured my faith, and once I asked God in faith unwaveringly, I didn't ask like the Bible says, don't ask unwaveringly, you won't get it. You have
mhm,
to be completely faithful in me. And that faith turned out to be, you have to lose things. You have
mhm,
you have to lose money. You have to lose people in your life. You have to lose some respect. You have to lose stability. And once you do that, you have to have complete faith that I will rebuild you. Um, so I stopped chasing validations, and I had to learn to trust what God already had put into me, and not stop trying to be somebody else. And all the real framework for me was, if I can get through the day, I can get to the night. If I can get to the night and sleep, I can get to the next day with joy. And once you wake up with joy in your heart, then everything changes. I didn't wake up feeling miserable, complaining, or being the victim. I woke up with joy, because we don't know how much time we have.
Yes.
And
You sure don't.
in a relationship, eventually, again, happily ever after, I look at it as we're both on our deathbed and we die at the same time. But that's not the reality. That's not the reality. Even though, some people, that's their expectation, that's not the reality. So we go through life thinking that we've already been advanced days, and we aren't. And when we can wake up with joy that we've opened our eyes, it changes the perspective of life.
Mm,
Definitely.
absolutely. I love that. So it sounds like you're saying don't focus on difficulty. Focus on the positives or maybe possibility. But can you share with us, what does that look like in an everyday marriage moment?
You have to do the hard things. And that's where, all the fun parts and the positive stuff are great, but you still have to do the hard things. You still have to learn every day. I 10 years ago, I was a different person. I can't use in counseling. I used to tell this to people that I mentored. I said, you can't use 2015 stuff that you learned in 2025. So you have to be a constant learner. And every day you have to learn.
Mhm.
Um, I used to call Laura, she does laundry, and I've been single a long time, where I did my own laundry, and it was kind of stressful for me to allow somebody else to do my laundry. And I don't know where that came from. It kind of felt different. And I did become a little resentful at first when we started living together. Um, I can't do laundry good enough. And, I know where, the
Wow.
untouchables are. I know how to use fabric softener. And I'm not dumb. But that was her thing to serve. So instead of being in my feelings and being mad about it and making a bad decision because I'm in my feelings, how can I serve? Well, I can take the laundry basket down, because old petty me would just take the laundry basket down. You can do all of it. You want to do it, you can do all of it. But I had to way to fit in. I had to find that fit in part. Okay, I can take the laundry basket down. I can take them up. I can hang up the clothes. There were things that the part of laundry that she wasn't as into, I could then serve, instead of being that old pettiness that I've had, that I don't know where what came from. I grew up in
Yeah.
New York, so I think you're naturally petty. But I really had to sit down and say, okay, how can I serve? How can I support? And that's how it works. And that's what you have to figure out. And maybe there comes a time where she says, can you wash clothes? And then I have to transition. I can't be mad about it. We're making a
Mm.
transition.
Right.
I think men get into relationships wanting the woman to stay the same, and women get into relationships thinking that she can change the man. And like with the
Mm.
students I support, you'll never get to them. You'll never get to their head until you get to their heart first. And again, it's about that fruitful and multiply. Fruitful comes first.
Mhm.
That's why it's written that way. You have to be fruitful first before you multiply.
Yes.
And the same thing. You have to go from step one to get you to step two. and step two
Yeah.
gets you to step three, and we
Right.
want to skip steps.
Right.
We can't skip steps. I want to skip
Yes, we do.
steps.
Yes.
I don't
We
want
Yes.
to
want the
start at
marriage.
one.
I don't want 2 or 3. I want to go from 1 to 10. You can do it. We can do this. No, doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work
Yeah,
like
it
that.
doesn't. You can't have. They want the wedding, but they don't want the sacrifice, and that's
That
where it
is
gets away.
that is so true.
They do. They want the public success and people, fawning over them, but they don't want to have the hurt part be seen, and that's where you grow, and that's where other people grow.
Hmm.
Um, when you don't have to be perfect. God didn't ordain us to be perfect. You
Right.
Yeah.
know.
Right.
And we're going to just
Right.
have some of those difficult times. There's really no growth without some
Exactly.
difficulty, some stress, some pain. Because you think about it, if you start going to the gym and you start lifting weights, or maybe you start, if you're not going to the gym, maybe you start running or whatever, your calves is hurting, your foot
Hmm.
hurting, your knee hurting, might
Hmm.
be in your hip. Oh, that's just me. Uh, but
It's not just you.
It's all of it.
but you got to have those difficult times, and looking back on my younger self, I just didn't know it. Like I said, we all
Hmm.
talked about, we've seen divorce in our family. My
Hmm.
my parents got divorced between my second and third grade. When I started third grade, my dad was no longer in the house all the time. So what my perception of marriage was just, what I saw. Like, I had some aunties and uncles who had these long-standing marriages, but I didn't live the day to day with them, so I don't see no struggle. I see them happy on Thanksgiving, you know, you
Hmm.
know, or what we see on TV. You don't see that there's some difficulty that goes with that. So when it smacked me in the face, and I was like, oh,
Hmm.
you know, we must not be getting along, or this must not be right, because it's a difficult season. But just for anyone who's listening, that's just part of life,
That's
and
part of
it's a
marriage.
part of marriage.
Hmm.
You can't have growth for two people that are growing together without those difficult times. And to what you said, Leonard, I love that, because it kind of goes hand in hand with this story that I have, that when we got married, my husband, he don't have no problem with me saying this, he's messy. He is so messy. And and it would piss me off that he would take off his socks, throw them over there near the hamper, but see they didn't hit the hamper, and not get up and pick them up. So that
Hmm.
communicated something to me. It said that he wanted to piss me off, or he didn't care, or he didn't love me, or whatever. So that was my perception. And from what I hear you saying, your perception for her doing the laundry, it communicated something to you. That wasn't even communicating, but it's the thoughts that we have in our head, that we
Right.
tell ourselves.
Right.
You mentioned, you say, what, I can't do laundry to her standard, or not, I'm not good enough, I can't do it. That's not what she's saying. And that wasn't
Right.
what he was saying about putting those socks
Right.
over there. He thought he was doing a good thing. He got him at least close to the hamper, because in his mind, he really could have just took him off and left him at the end of the bed. That's what he preferred to do, is just leave him at the end of the bed. At least I threw him over there near the hamper,
But like
She
you
was,
said, it's those communication things that come in hand, so you can erase those perceptions of what you're perceiving or what somebody's relaying to you, their
hmm
message. You
yeah.
know, she's probably like, "Why are you tripping? I'm just washing the clothes. What's you know?"
And it's something I don't like doing laundry. It's something I should be grateful for, and I had to tell her that I'm grateful now.
Like, yeah, let me help you,
But
baby. Let me move that hamper for you.
But
yeah,
it's like
but
those
I
little
think
things.
what goes
That,
wrong is that we accept and we become petty, or we get mad about it. If you
exactly.
if you accept it, then don't
Hmm.
get mad about it.
Hmm.
What's the option? And I
Right.
think too many times we get into our feelings, and when
Yes.
we have those negative feelings, we make bad decisions.
Right.
Have you ever went to the grocery store hungry?
Oh,
You make
You
bad
buy
decisions.
everything you see.
you buy
You make
What you
bad
everything
want to
look
eat.
decisions.
good.
Everything.
Everything looks good. You go to the grocery store hungry.
Yep.
But when you're out of your feelings and you go to the grocery store, you
You
spend
feel
what you're supposed to spend. You get
yeah.
what you're supposed to
Supposed to
get.
get.
And the frivolous stuff and the extra, you can pass up. But
Hmm.
when you end your feelings, and that's when you make the bad decision. That's when you get the honey bun, and that's when you say things that you don't want to say. You say things that you don't really mean, but the damage is done. So it's
Mhm.
important to recognize those feelings. I had to recognize, you know, that's the old you that's being petty about laundry. That's not the new you. That's not who you're supposed to be, and that's the shift that needs to be made. Is I gotta stay out my feelings for certain things, and
Mhm.
if it is bothering me, the cover is that I can come talk to you about it without it hurting anything.
Exactly.
Mhm.
That's
Exactly.
very important.
Hmm. You mentioned you say things you don't want to say. Patty used the example the other day of the something coming out of the toothpaste
Oh,
tube.
like once those words are out, you say things in anger, you say things in your pettiness
Mhm.
because you want to hurt the person because you feel that they hurt you. And words cut like a knife. And once those words, it's like toothpaste. Once it's out of the tube, it's no way you can get it back in. You may forgive each other or say you forgive each other, and you do, but in your mind, whatever was said, that's still in there.
Hmm.
It's still in there. It's hard to
Subconsciously, it's
erase
there.
that. You can't
Yeah.
erase that.
Absolutely. Well, we're gonna transition. Pata has some health and wellness questions for you.
Okay.
All right. So you mentioned that you and Laura have daily rituals. You text, you check in with each other. Kind of unpacked a little bit more like how these small habits matter so much.
It's always a reminder that
Hmm.
when you're having a bad day, when you're away from me, I'm still there.
Hmm.
And part of that is knowing God is always with me. So if God blesses me, I can bless other people. I had a neighbor need a refrigerator, and I had an extra one, and they were like, "Can you? I'll buy it from you." I said, "No, you can have it." And it's like, "No, I gotta give you money for it." And I said, "Look," I said, "you're blocking my blessing. I'm blessing you with this refrigerator so God can bless me. So
Hmm.
just call me selfish if that's what it takes for you to take this refrigerator.
Just
Call me
take
selfish if you want to, but I'm looking for my blessing. And the
it.
blessings are, and we have these three emojis that we always send, and it's really just that simple. It really when I'm having a hard day and I don't want to walk in, that time when you're sitting in your car and you're contemplating going to work or driving
Right.
off into the sunset, getting away from everybody, you know, to get that message back when I say made it, we have this thing where we say reminder. And I get to work and I'm sitting and I'm contemplating life and do I really want to go in here? Is this really what I want to do? And I
Hmm.
text made it reminder. And the responding text for both of us all the time is I love you with three emojis.
Okay.
That
Oh.
little reminder,
Okay.
just it's the coffee. Like some people need coffee. I've gotten to the habit of I need that reminder is not forced. It's
Hmm.
it's just it's a habit, and
Organic.
your habits, yeah, your habits determine your success in
Hmm.
anything in life, especially
Right.
in marriage. So when you
Right.
develop those habits, you start to develop the success habits of a successful marriage.
Right. And
Hmm.
that leads me to saying, you talked about replacing negative thinking with understanding. How did that shift affect your stress levels and your connections?
I use stress as I embrace stress.
Okay.
I embrace it
Okay.
because it shows how much I've grown or where I need to grow.
Okay.
So stress in a marriage isn't a bad thing. You just have to embrace what it's trying to tell you.
Okay.
God doesn't give us the easy path. There are obstacles to see how faithful you are, to
Okay.
see, do you want what you say you want?
Right.
Um, so it's funny that the stress may increase, but the
Hmm.
response to the stress isn't
The same.
debilitating, isn't
Hmm.
hurtful.
Right.
It's embraced and it's moving forward. Some people get paralyzed by stress, and that's
Mm-hmm.
where their marriage is stuck at, because when stress happens, they forget all that other stuff because they haven't developed a successful habits in their marriage. They've developed, when things are good, we're good. When things aren't good, then we aren't good. You
Right.
can sleep in the other room. I can give you the silent treatment, but when you learn to handle that stress, silent treatment is not an option for anybody out there listening. If you do the silent treatment, work on stopping it now. Silent treatment only creates distance, and then
Mhm.
you have to spend time getting that distance back. I
Right.
Yeah.
always, I always
Right.
keep in mind that old me, that petty me, is still chasing me.
You
It's
just
still
kind of keep
chasing me,
it in the back state. You got
and
to
I
keep ahead
can't,
of it,
I
right?
can't let him catch up. It so he so whatever I have to do, crawl or whatever, that old me cannot
Hmm.
catch me.
Got you. Got you. Well, tell me this. What is one wellness practice couples can start when they feel tired or distanced?
I think that the practice is reaffirming why you're there in the first place.
Okay.
And I think that's a daily thing. Just like
Reaffirmation.
if you want to lose weight, or you want to get healthier, you want to gain muscle or whatever, it's
Hmm.
the consistency that
Hmm.
matters.
Okay.
We You can't be inconsistent and then you start a diet, and then, okay, I'm gonna eat honey buns on the weekend. And people do that in marriage. They get
Mhm.
married, it sounds good, it feels good, but then you don't really want what it feels like. You don't really want uh, the sacrifice. You don't really want the commitment. You just want the look.
Right.
And sometimes we get caught in what it looks outwardly to other people, again, seeking someone else's approval
Right.
rather than
Right.
seeking God's approval. And it's really just, how are you going to communicate that every day?
Got you.
Mhm.
Got you.
I love that.
Got you.
If you get 1% better in your marriage every day, you have a great marriage.
Mhm.
Hmm. Little things, little things. All right, let me pause for a moment and just speak directly to our listeners. So many couples don't realize how closely their mindset, stress, and connection are linked. When you're mentally exhausted, your body feels it and your marriage feels it too. But small habits create big healing. Simple check-ins like we talked about earlier, Leonard, like you explained, ending the text with the kindness, breathing, breathing before reacting, going to bed at peace, waking up in joy. Just like you mentioned earlier, healthy couples don't wait for life to slow down, they create moments of calm together. Your nervous system matters in your marriage.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Well, Leonard, I'm
Great.
gonna switch gears just a little bit here. Can you tell us a little bit about your book, Dear Young People?
Yeah, thank you for asking. It was during COVID. I used to make Facebook posts, and it just started with "Dear Young People," and I just write something positive because I knew it was a tough time for them,
Mm-hmm.
and I made the commitment to do it for 1 year straight. So I started and I did it for a year,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody came along during that time and said, "You should put that in a book," and I was like, "Yeah, that's a good idea. It's already done, really."
It can't get no
So
easier
I
than
had
that.
all of these. Yeah. So I had all of these, but I didn't want to put them all because I didn't want to overwhelm people. But it's more um, a message to my younger self.
Oh,
I love AI, and I love the things that you can do with AI, and putting my younger self to be able to look at my younger self and myself in the same picture and be able to animate it and express those type of feelings. Um, it was it was really enlightening because I wanted my younger self to say, "I'm proud of you." And
mhm.
that's what really the essence of the book. It's a journal for young people, teenagers,
Mm-hmm.
and I want them, and I've had several adults say they dive into it to reconnect with their younger self.
Mm.
But I really wanted my younger self in my heart to say, I'm proud of you. I've seen what you've been through. And I wanted to look back at my younger self and say, sorry I didn't believe in you. I'm healing.
Mm-hmm.
And then we could both look at the future together and enjoy that we know what's coming. And together, my younger self and me, so we can look at, be positive about our future. I embrace getting older. A lot of people, a lot of the elders when I was growing up wanted to be younger.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And
Mm-hmm.
now I don't. I don't want to. I embrace getting older. I love, the children and my children
Mhm.
and my stepdaughter and my
Mm-hmm.
grandson. That why stay younger?
Right.
I would miss all of that.
Yes.
You know,
And if you think about all the angst that you had when you were younger,
Like, no, I don't want to do that again.
no, not at all.
I embrace getting older too, because you know what? At a certain age, you just don't care.
You absolutely don't. You
That's
know what?
right.
You
You know?
look in the mirror and you say, "This is me." Keep it moving.
Yeah, take it or leave it. Somebody say something crazy to me out somewhere. Whereas I used to Mike would pop off and say something to him. Go on about your day. You have a good day. I don't know. I just try to think that maybe I try to think the best of people. Maybe they're having a bad day, and I just give them a smile. Oh, baby, I'm sorry. Did I cut you off? I didn't mean to do that.
But that's the internal joy that we were talking about, Leonard, that you spoke of earlier. That's that joy that comes from deep within yourself to be able to do that. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Leonard, if a couple wanted to shift from hardship to hope tonight, what's one heart to heart question they should ask? Now, I want you to think about this. What if a couple wanted to shift from hardship to hope tonight? What's one heart to heart
Mm.
question that you would say that they should ask each other?
I think, and I hate to repeat myself, but as a couple, you should. Will we trust God enough that we will move by faith?
Mm.
I think that's the question. If you're going to allow God in there and you're going to trust Him enough for that relationship, and not allow the other people in the background. I think a lot of people miss love again because they're looking for a type or a cookie cutter thing or approval
Mm,
when they should be just trusting God.
Mm-hmm.
And ask yourself, are you going to trust God enough for this relationship?
Right.
okay.
Right.
I love that.
Right. Right. Well, Leonard, thank you for reminding us that hope begins with awareness and that small daily choices help couples reconnect emotionally and mentally. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you, Leonard, for your transparency and your wisdom. Tell our listeners where they can connect with you. Are you on social media, YouTube, or do you have a link for your book? Tell them where you want them to find you.
My website is leonardwebb.com. You can find me there. And um, I did have a QR code, but I think I sent it too late.
That's fine.
But if you look
I'll
up,
put it in the show notes, but this will be it
okay,
for the verbal part.
if you on social media, it's Wevolutionary,
Mm.
and I just take that from. I always like to. I'm a child of the '60s, so that revolutionary mindset, I wanted to include that because that's where true transformation takes place. So whoever is out there, make your own. I call it. For me, it's Wevolutionary. For Lucille, it might be Lucillanary. However, patternary. However you want to do it, but it's all about revolutionizing and growing your mind and your faith.
Oh, I love that. When you said that
Yes.
revolutionary, it made me think that the revolution will not be televised. Y'all remember that?
Yes, but it will be podcasted.
Absolutely. So, to our listeners, remember this: Hope grows when you choose possibility over pressure and connection over comfort. Thank you for joining us on the Stronger, Deeper Marriage Show. Until next time, keep building a stronger and deeper marriage. Bye bye.
Bye.
Stop recording.